All living cells must maintain a balance regardless of their internal or external conditions. Survival depends on the cell's ability to maintain a proper condition within themselves. But how do they achieve that? I will answer this question in today's video. Hi, and welcome back.
The plasma membrane. Why cells must control materials? Your cells need nutrients such as glucose, amino acids, and lipids to function. It is the job of the plasma membrane, the flexible boundary between the cell and its environment, to allow a steady supply of these nutrients to come into the cell no matter what the external conditions are. However, too much of any of these nutrients or other substances, especially ions, can be harmful to the cell. If levels become too high, the excess is removed through the plasma membrane. Waste and other products also leave the cell through the plasma membrane. Recall that this process of maintaining balance in the cell's environment is called homeostasis. How does the plasma membrane maintain homeostasis? One mechanism is selective permeability, a process in which a membrane allows some molecules to pass through while keeping others out. In your home, a screen in a window can perform a selective permeability in a similar way. When you open the window, the screen lets fresh air in and keeps most insects out. Some molecules, such as water, freely enter the cell through the plasma membrane, as shown in the picture. Other particles, such as sodium and calcium ions, must be allowed into the cell only at a certain times, in certain amounts, and through certain channels. The plasma membrane must be selective in allowing these ions to enter. Structure of the plasma membrane. Now that you understand the basic function of the plasma membrane, you can study its structure. Lipids are large molecules that are composed of glycerol and 3 fatty acids. If a phosphate group replaces a fatty acid, a phospholipid is formed. A phospholipid has a glycerol backbone, 2 fatty acid chains, and a phosphate group. The plasma membrane is composed of phospholipid bilayer, as shown in the picture. This means that it has 2 layers as phospholipids back to back. The phospholipid bilayer. The phosphate group is critical for the formation and function of the plasma membrane. The 2 fatty acid tails of the phospholipids are non-polar, whereas the head of the phospholipid molecule containing the phosphate group is polar, as you can see in this section of the picture. Water is a key component of living organisms, both inside and outside the cell. The polar phosphate group allows the cell membrane to interact with its watery environment because water is polar. The fatty acid tails, on the other hand, avoid water. The 2 layers of phospholipid molecules make a sandwich with the fatty acid tails, forming the interior of the membrane and the phospholipid heads facing the watery environment found inside and outside the cell. This picture illustrates phospholipids and their place within the structure of the plasma membrane. When many phospholipid molecules come together in this manner, a barrier is created that is water-soluble at its outer surface and water-insoluble in the middle. Water-soluble molecules will not easily move through the membrane because they are stopped by this water-insoluble layer. The model of the plasma membrane is called the fluid mosaic model. It is fluid because the phospholipids move within the membrane just as water molecules move with the currents in a lake. At the same time, proteins in the membrane also move among the phospholipids, like boats with their decks above water and hulls below water. These proteins create a mosaic, or pattern, on the membrane surface. Other components of the plasma membrane. Cholesterol is also found in the plasma membrane, where it helps to stabilize the phospholipids by preventing their fatty acid tails from sticking together. Cholesterol is a common topic in health issues because high levels are associated with reduced blood flow in the blood vessels. Yet, for all the emphasis on cholesterol-free foods, it is important to recognize that cholesterol plays a critical role in the stability of the plasma membrane and is therefore a necessary part of your diet. You've learned that proteins are found within the lipid membrane. Proteins that span the entire membrane help form the selective permeable membrane that regulates which molecules enter and which molecules leave a cell. These proteins are called transport proteins. Transport proteins move needed substances or waste materials through the plasma membrane. Other proteins and carbohydrates that stick out from the cell surface help cells to identify chemical signals and each other. As you will discover later, these characteristics are important in protecting your cells from infection. Proteins at the inner surface of a plasma membrane play an important role in attaching the plasma membrane to the cell's internal support structure, giving the cell its flexibility.
I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, bye!